Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 harsh realities of healing from narcissistic abuse. 3 harsh realities that we're going to experience or have to wrap our minds around. More than not, okay? There's always exceptions out here. And perhaps you were a person who experienced narcissistic abuse and got out of it early. So certain things or didn't go as far with you, and or you didn't have so much of a shadow side or a toxic aspect of yourself that felt comfortable with that energy to continue things to a certain level. Okay, well, good for you, but I know that this is often not the case. Most of the time when we're attracting this kind of energy, it's because there's a reflection. There's something within us that needs to be addressed. Okay, so the universe is providing an opportunity for that to occur. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about these harsh realities. Number 1 here on my list is chances are to get to the point of healing from narcissistic abuse, you probably had to hit rock bottom. And we hear about rock bottom a lot of times when we hear about 12-step programs that are helping people heal from addictions. Well, guess what? There was an addiction going on in that relationship with a narcissist as well. Okay, typically we have 2 relationship junkies, but of course it's playing out differently on each side, but nonetheless, we have 2 people that are addicted to relationships. Codependents are addicted to relationships, and codependents are likely to be attracted to narcissistic energy. So chances are you had to hit rock bottom because that codependent energy or the toxic aspects of yourself, or chances are rooted from your childhood. So these things are deeply engraved in your essence at the point. So hitting rock bottom will allow for a few things to come. Although it's unpleasant, and I talk about that purge that we go through in the healing process, but even before we get to that purge, we've hit this rock bottom where you're going to feel, stripped. You're going to feel like you're in a season of loss or a season of being removed. Okay. And just, hitting that rock bottom is just an indication of where your emotional maturity, hadn't been and how long it took you to realize, or, your level of self-awareness. Okay. And a lot of you are like, self-awareness, wasn't it because I wasn't aware of the narcissist? Yeah, that's a part of it as well. But, usually in these toxic relationships, there's a disconnect from self where we're minimizing, we're in denial, we're turning a blind eye, we're letting other people think and control us. So, our self-awareness is very low. And then as we reconnect with ourselves, we can hear that voice, our discernment, our gut speaking to us and warning us, instead of ignoring ourselves. It didn't feel right, but I kept going out of my shadow side. So oftentimes you've had to hit a rock bottom, and this could have, when we say rock bottom, that paints a picture. And yeah, that's very accurate. You could feel like you've lost everything, like many things were pulled up from under you at this time, but you needed to be stripped and you needed to be bare. You needed to be naked now so that you can then rebuild. That's the beautiful part about hitting rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, typically the only place to go next is up. But now you're going to get an opportunity to build on a different type of surface, to have a better foundation, and that sort of thing, you guys. So don't hold your head down if you hit rock bottom. because sometimes we need a reset. We need to reset and we need to do things a different way moving forward. We need to reprogram, if you will. We don't need to have all those things from the past that was in the energy of our old energy. Sometimes we really just need a fresh start. We need to take another path. So it's not a do-over, it's just restarting here and taking another path. But yeah, hitting rock bottom might not feel pleasant. You're going to feel that much more stress in a moment because now it's unfamiliar. Now I don't know what's around the corner. But I know that I can't go back there. And I know that, sometimes it had to get to a rock bottom because we were stubborn. I mean, just intercept and say that. So the bridge had to be burnt. And if we couldn't do it for ourselves, God would find a way to do it for us. So now we're in a scary position where we know it's a point of no return. No matter what, I can't go back that way. All I can do is move forward now. But the unknown can be very, like I said, can make a lot of people nervous because we are creatures of habits, okay? But I want you to see the beauty of rebuilding and to see where that's necessary at times, you guys, okay? It's necessary, especially after a trauma. There's a lot that needs to be sorted out, and we need to do it in a healthy manner so that we don't repeat cycles. All right. All right, you guys. So that's number one. Sometimes it's going to require that you have hit a rock bottom. All right. And it's for your own good. Number two on here, another harsh reality is going to be realizing that they never cared, or basically, they never loved you. And then this is a lot for someone to swallow because for you to be so emotionally invested in them and then they weren't, and then this can pile up a whole nother set of feelings inside of you where you're feeling abandoned and rejected by that person. But I've made several videos where, if you're going to be abandoned and rejected by anything in life, let it be by a person like that. Okay? So the fact that you're going to be upset about this toxic person, keyword toxic person, not accepting you and they're rejecting you, that lets you know how much work you need to do within yourself. It's going to uncover aspects of yourself because, when we step out of our emotions and we go into our logic, why would we want to be accepted by such a person? Anyway, why would we want that? All right. Is it a familiar energy that reminds you of your original abuser that you're gravitating towards because you haven't healed those wounds? We have to figure out, well, why would I even want to be accepted and understood? And why would I require a person of such low vibration? Why would I want to require them to understand me? Okay, why would I want to be equally yoked with that person? Why would I want to be in their company? So, these are the things that we have to debunk. But yes, it will feel like a harsh reality to someone who struggles with abandonment and rejection issues. And for someone who was really trying to give love and care to someone, and especially when this has been in a prolonged period. Some of you have gone as far as marriage and children and have had this whole life, and now, bam, they're just ready to divorce you and on to the next. Like you was nothing, like you guys were together for 5 minutes when it's been decades, and then they want to take everything on the way out the door that you helped them build. Like it's so many things. They're so ruthless and harsh because they were always emotionally detached. They never loved you or cared about you. And that can be a big pill to swallow. And we know, I don't know how many of you have ever swallowed a big pill, like a vitamin. You better have a lot of water in your mouth. Okay. But yeah, that can be a huge, harsh reality to face. Like you cared so much and they didn't. That can be a huge pill and devastating. because, some of us, when we love hard. Okay. And it's nothing. You've given them the shirt off your back. You've given them your last. You've let them into certain aspects. You've gone into debt for them, put them before you. You've done so much only to find out that it wasn't valued in the way that you thought. They were just using you. They were just taking what they could get. They didn't appreciate what you were doing. All right. So the third harsh reality that I want to mention is it was just as much about you as it was about them. Yes, I know a lot of survivors, they really want to understand the narcissist. Why did they treat me this way? Why did they, the cycle of abuse and everything, the essence of the narcissist. But at the end of the day, that relationship was just as much about you as it was them, because it takes two, number one. So it's one thing for a narcissist to cross your path. It's another thing to get into a relationship with them. Then it's another thing for it to be a prolonged relationship. And then, of course, another thing to go through many cycles of abuses with them. Each one is higher than the next and indicates more of shadow side or your inner toxicity that would allow that to occur. Okay? It was just as much about you. And some of you are like, what? I wasn't the one cheating. I wasn't the one lying. I wasn't the one, doing these cycles of abuse. But you were in cahoots in a certain sense because you allowed yourself to stay in that energy with them. You didn't detach from it. You didn't send it away. You didn't break away at a certain point or at a certain time, if you will. Okay? So I want you to see that the people that you are attracted to, the people that you allow in your circle is a reflection of yourself. You need to see that moving on. Yeah, what they did is what they did, but what you allowed them to do in your presence, in your life, what you allowed them to bring to your table, in your home, around your children, in your family, that is a reflection of you, because we can choose who we interact with for the most part. I know that some of you may have had some work situations, and even then we have some controls as well. We're not helpless. The authority that we give for them to dictate our happiness, the attachment that we have to their thoughts and opinions, the limitations that we may set on being able to have other opportunities elsewhere. All types of things come into play there. Not speaking up for ourselves, not creating the paper trail in HR, or knowing, having enough emotional maturity to know how to deal or handle a person like this in a workplace. Okay? So that relationship is just as much about you as it is them. All right, you guys. So those are three harsh realities about healing from narcissistic abuse. And, it may feel like after you've been through so much already, bam, you're getting punched with all of this too. And it may seem like overload. And that's why sometimes they say when it rains, it pours. But, you know how many times it's rained and poured, and then afterwards the sun comes out and that rainbow is there and it's just shiny. And that rain actually nurtured everything around it to grow and be healthy. And water is pivotal in life. All right, you guys. So I hope that this has helped someone, help give some confirmation to what you may have been feeling and experienced. You're not alone. It's very easy to feel alone, especially when people immediately around you may not understand, but you're not alone. Millions of people have experienced narcissistic abuse. You are not alone for sure. Okay? And we're all in this human experience. So trust me, you're not the only one who's been devastated. You're not the only one who's been rock bottom, who's lost everything, who was in their negative and had to rebuild and had to move back in with the parents, had to go into a homeless shelter, or, had to, really grind and get back on feet. But a lot of times, even when you're in those situations, just being away from that toxic energy, you feel like you're in a castle somewhere, because that toxic energy was so heavy. Like, man, I'd rather sleep in my car than sleep in the bed with that person. Like, you get to that point where, by any means necessary, like, I'm willing to do what I have to do. This is temporary. I'm going to move past this. But anything is better than being in that situation. And we get to that point, and that is a rock bottom. That's rock bottom right there. And rock bottom could look different. It could be having a mental breakdown. Maybe you got admitted into a hospital, a crisis center, because you just got overloaded and you were pushing things down for too long, and it finally came up to the surface. That might have been your rock bottom. Or, obviously the narcissist, their offenses escalated to a point where even your own shadow side and toxicity couldn't deny anything anymore. It was obvious. You got tired of abandoning yourself, let alone being concerned about being abandoned by a toxic person. Okay? So I'm going to end there, you guys. And like I said, I hope that this has helped someone. You can hit that like button if it did resonate with you. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you need help healing from narcissistic abuse, a toxic relationship, healing your inner childhood wounds, you can feel free to schedule an appointment on my website, lakiacrawford.com, and I can certainly help you with that. I'm a general life coach, so I can help with other areas of your life as well. All right. With that being said, you can always check the description, you guys, for things that I have going on. All right. All right, you guys. Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work. And until next time, please take care.